Hello, my name is Beth. I haven't done a video for a while because I have had another baby. He is 2 months old and I've just been called to do a video, and I was going to do it about transitioning from 1 to 2 officially, but I've actually kind of been inspired to talk about the maiden to mother journey. So in terms of the cycles of our life, we as women embrace the triple goddess energy. We go from maiden, which is like our spring, our mother, which is the summer energy, and our crone, which is autumn, winter. And we go through the cycles of life. Hormonally speaking, we have like periods, and then we have pregnancy, matricide, postpartum, and then we have like menopause. So it's kind of like a cycle of birth and life and death. And when we are in our maiden kind of time of our life, it's a beautiful time filled with youth, excitement, beauty, freedom, but also we are very eager to please people. We want to prove ourselves in the world. We might want to seek validation from others, maybe our parents, society, men, maybe. However, our motherhood journey is more about coming into our mature, being feminine energy, and we blossom into a version of ourselves where we trust our intuition more rather than seeking validation from others. We trust our own intuition, and we no longer play small. We know our worth more as a mother. So as a maiden, we are trying to prove our worth. As a mother, we know our worth, and we have strong boundaries, and we use, again, feminine intuition, and we do not listen to external institutions or people or our parents. So we break away from seeking that validation, and yeah, we know ourselves, and we take full ownership of our lives, and we have that confidence comes across. But a lot of women don't actually cross the threshold of maiden to mother. It's a spiritual journey that kind of takes a lot of work, and so I'm just gonna add this bit sneakily in because I missed this bit out. But so talking about crossing the threshold between maiden to mother, the reason that a lot of women don't do this is because the maiden is celebrated and revered, and the mother is rejected from society, and the crone is 100% rejected from society. So there is an epidemic of women trying to stay forever a maiden. So they're people pleasing, they're relying on external voices, they're spending money to maintain their beauty. The illusion of forever youth is unnatural, but women who become mothers are told to bounce back, they're told to go back to work, they're told to reject their mother energy. So it's a very painful experience when you're not celebrated and supported in that transition. And why a lot of women struggle to cross that threshold is because we are not supported and we are not encouraged to cross that threshold, even though our power and beauty and our worth actually is imbued in our mother energy, and yet we're taught to reject it. So it's a painful experience, and so a lot of women don't try or don't have the opportunity to embrace their mother energy. So yeah, just gonna add that in sneakily. Hopefully you don't notice too much. I've kind of realised with having my second son how I've gone deeper into my mother energy. With my first son, I gave birth to him 3 years ago almost. I found becoming a mother extremely difficult. Spiritually, in every single way, I struggled with becoming a mother. And I think it's because in order to embrace your mother energy, you also need a big support system. It's a spiritual experience. You need wise women. You need women who have been through it themselves. And I actually myself didn't have any women in my life that could help me on that journey. I have a toxic relationship with my own mother, which is also something that I needed to address before entering my mother energy. My mother wound, they call it, which I'm going to do a separate video about, was a strong pain in me, and I had to embrace her pain. If you believe in ancestral trauma, when I gave birth to my son, a lot of her trauma I felt and had to go through and experience, and a lot of work on my own inner child had to be dealt with. So my postpartum experience with my son was very hard, and I had to embrace a lot of things I wasn't ready. But they do say when a woman gives birth, she also gives birth to all her trauma. And I had a lot of that, and my mum had a lot of that. So yeah, for me it was an intense experience, and don't get me wrong, I had loads of beautiful times with him, and but a lot of hard, I found it extremely hard. There's also a quote that kind of embraces what I'm trying to say. So crossing the threshold from maiden to mother can be a dark and painful experience because we as women are not supported and guided by mature women. Most women abort the initiation completely and they run back to maidenhood, where they plead to be saved or rescued, and this often occurs postpartum. I did feel an urge to run back to my own mother postpartum, even though my own mother is not good for me. She's not a good person to have in my life, because I was scared. Luckily I have an amazing husband who encouraged me to, well, he helped me like in ways that he shouldn't have had to. He was my village, he was my everything, so I was lucky that I didn't have to run back to her. In fact, when my son was born, I ended up completely cutting her out of my life, so I no longer actually speak to my mother, which is something I'm also going to talk about in the mother womb video. But that was part of me becoming a mature woman, embracing my mother energy, was that to actually cut my mother out, because my whole life I've been trying to please my mother, and because my mother was stuck in her maiden energy, she never enjoyed motherhood herself. And I've actually become a mother in her mother energy. I think she resented me for that, like having strong boundaries, knowing my worth, not becoming a people pleaser anymore, like cutting these people out of my life, was part of me embracing my mother energy, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So this is a bit jumbled, but I'm just going to go with it. So yes, as a mother, we are no longer playing small. We don't listen to institutions. So an example of this is with my son. The first time around, my birth with him was a mixed, I think it kind of reflected where I was in my own maiden mother journey. I had the birth I wanted, which was a natural birth, but then in a lot of ways it was very traumatic, because I had a natural birth and didn't have painkillers, which was what I wanted. I wanted like as natural as possible, but I wanted a home birth. I ended up going into hospital. There was so much pressure on me. People were telling me to have C-sections. They were trying to get me to take all the drugs. A lot of people were criticising me. I felt very unsupported, and I was very traumatized after the birth, and I felt I was still fearful of what other people were thinking of me, like, and I was still triggered by the criticism and the disrespect. Whereas the second time around, I was like, no, I'm going to have a doula, I'm going to free birth. Like, I felt confident in that decision, and I did free birth at home with my son. So it was only my husband and a doula, but the doula was only there for a couple of hours because it was a really fast labour. So I trusted my intuition that I could free birth. Like, I knew I could, and I still faced criticism. People thought I was being irresponsible for not having medical people at the birth, but I knew my own body, I knew what I needed, I knew what I wanted, and I ignored all that. And it's not just about ignoring it, it's about actually like not letting it get to you. Like, in the past, people were criticizing me and I would ignore it, but it would actually really hurt me and like really affect me. But now, if people don't agree with my decisions, like, it doesn't really bother me at all. Like, I don't care. I'll just do it anyway. So yeah, that is kind of the mother energy. And in terms of actually being a mother second time round, I'm actually finding it easier than I did having one. Like, practically it's so much harder because, you know, you've got two people to look after. So my baby needs holding all day long, and I've got a toddler to entertain. So in terms of that, it is harder, like, in every way. But mentally, spiritually, I'm finding it easier because I am embracing my mother energy. So I'm learning how to kind of slow down. I'm also in that practice state of kind of not having time for myself. So like, first time around with Jay, I was just so overwhelmed with having to hold a baby all day long, and like when he napped, I was like so desperate to like have some time for myself, or like I was kind of desperate to do like some yoga or meditate, or I was just really craving my own time, because as a maiden I did spend a lot of time on my, I liked my own company, I liked doing things with my husband, we travelled, we had fun, and when you have a baby, all of that kind of changes. So I found it really hard to embrace that, and I was trying to like run away from that in a lot of ways. Like, don't get me wrong, I had an amazing time, but I was breastfeeding, so obviously your baby needs to be with you all the time, and we didn't get any time for ourselves, so I found it hard. But this time around, it doesn't bother me if I don't get time for myself in the day. I mean, it's nice when I do, but I'm not like desperate for it, and like I'm not trying to run away from that. Like, freedom for me feels differently now, and yeah, like and I was also kind of craving like peace all the time, and you find peace within motherhood. So like, you can look at the trees and they look nice, but there's like your toddler screaming. Like, you find peace in a different way. Like, you're not trying to run away from the moment, you're embracing it. You're finding stillness within motherhood. Oh, I just saw a butterfly fly past the window. So yeah, I feel like that's enough said on that for now. But I think it's a really interesting journey, and I really do feel like the maiden to mother transition is a spiritual evolution, and something that I may continue to delve deeper into my mother consciousness as I, you know, raise my sons, or maybe have another baby. I don't know, but I don't think I will, but we'll see. And obviously the crone aspect of our journey, but also when we transition from maiden to mother, it doesn't mean that the maiden has disappeared. She's like always with us. She just becomes part of an expanded version of ourselves, and it's about integrating our maiden with our mother, with our crone, and embracing all aspects of that triple goddess energy into our lives. but sometimes that integration process can be hard and dark and intense and painful, depending on, you know, our traumas, our inner child. I also felt this time around with my second son, I embraced a lot of inner child healing. Took place because as I cut my own mother out of my life, I kind of started to realise how my mother didn't fulfill my needs as a child, and I had to embrace all that pain and grief, and I feel like I have acknowledged that now, and I acknowledge my inner child, and I acknowledge that her needs weren't met, and I can parent her, like the inner child in me, as well as my sons. So I am raising them and embracing my own inner child wounds is helping me to become a better mother, because ultimately we can't run away from that. So yeah, let's see if there's any nice little quotes we can finish with. To evolve in this presence of our mother, we must address the wounded maiden and the inner child issues. We no longer play small, or we are no longer a victim to other people, or ourselves as well. So as a mother, we know our worth, we have strong boundaries, we are confident, know that wherever you are in this journey, it's all okay, it's where you're meant to be. It's a unique journey, and I also do feel that women can embrace their mother energy without actually being mothers, but at the same time, since becoming a mother, giving birth and being pregnant, it's something that you can't quite understand unless you've been through it, I think. But you can definitely embrace your mother energy without being a mother. But for me, I think I had to become a mother to embrace it, so I'm thankful to that, to my sons, and hope you get something from this. I am going to do a video about the mother wound, inner child kind of things, and I'm also going to do a postpartum yoga video, but can't find the time. Okay, thank you.